Hey guys, Aiden the designer here. This is a video where I'm going to talk about the Live 3. I'm going to talk about my experience with the Live 3, the things that I like about it, the things I don't like about it. Spoiler alert, there's a lot more things I like, and I should probably say love about this device. And there's only a handful of things I don't like. But yeah, let's get into it. So I'm going to start off with the things that I don't like about this, right? Like I said, it's a handful of things. Okay, so one of the things I'm not a big fan of is when you're scrolling through this device for the plugins, to load a effects plugin, instrument plugin, whatever, there's no favorites button, all right, or most used folder or anything like that. I really wish that there was a favorites button so I don't have to scroll through all the different plugins that I have on here and use the data dial to go through all the plugins. I've gotten used to it at this point, and this is it's really not a deal breaker for me. It's not a thing that I detest every time I use it, but it is something that I wish that they could add in a future update where they have a favorites menu that you can select, like maybe having like a star next to each plugin that you use the most. Plugins that you use the most, and then you just check the star, and then it all goes to like a separate folder that you can access whenever you want. So another thing that I'm not crazy about on this device is actually the output recording. So being able to track out your outputs. That's one of the reasons I actually bought this device, is because at the time when I was thinking about buying this device, I had a workflow with the Digitact so exporting my tracks from the Digitact into Ableton. I knew there was the export stems feature on there, but when it came to actually using it to track out the stems to Ableton, I found that I had a lot of issues with it was crackling, it was sounding like distorted sometimes. There were times where it worked properly, but there are other times where it just came out really weird, and I don't know, I just didn't know what was going on. Also, I tried to use it with the clock and record it like all synced up, but I found that when I went into Ableton to check the stems, they weren't actually on grid. So I don't know what was happening there when the recording process happened. It was the stems were out of time, and I had to always go back to the start of where the pattern started. Sorry, where the first transient is, like on each stem, and then move it back in time on the grid. So I'm not sure what happened there, why it did that. Now, it's not, once again, a deal breaker for me, because now I use the export stems feature, which for the most part works out fine. But I found that there's times when I export my track, the individual stems, and then it doesn't render the kick for some reason, or another individual stem for some reason. I'm not sure again. But for the most part, it works, and it's completely usable. So yeah, those are the two things that I'm not crazy about. And I wish, like I said, they could add the update for the favorites. But that's pretty much it for the things I'm not a fan of. Now let's talk about the things that I really like, and the reason why I really endorse this device. And I use this as my main MPC. I'll also just say that this is my main MPC. I start pretty much everything on here. The things that I absolutely love about this device is, and I'm going to start with the portability factor, which, from what I've heard from people, some people don't think it's that portable because of the size, which, fair. I get it. You can't throw this in a bag. I have bought a case for this from Amazon. I'll actually link it in the description of this video. It's a really good case, and it's not too expensive either. I think I paid $70 Australian for it. But I like the portability of this device, and I think it is one of the reasons I'm hugely obsessed with this device, because it means that I can go to anywhere with this device, like my couch, the beach, or just any remote locations. I usually take this to my parents' place when I go after work on a Monday. I can make a whole video about making music in different locations and how that can influence your creativity. Like, I can do that, but I'll just say that that's one thing that I really enjoy doing, and this allows me to do that. The battery life on here is really good for what you're getting. And I've seen some people on Reddit really complain about the battery life on this, which I really don't understand, because you have to consider what you're getting here. Now, the most amount of time I've gotten out of this on the battery alone has probably been about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but you've got to consider I'm not sitting down for more than 2 hours to make a beat in a remote setting. Like, that just isn't happening. So it's perfect for that. It's fine. And that's considering that on this device, you have so many powerful plugins. This is such a powerful device. I'm not good with specs, but this is a very powerful device. I think it actually has 8 CPU cores, I think it's called. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, this is a really, really powerful device. And to have 2 hours battery, I feel like is really, really amazing for what you're getting with like all the plugins, the capabilities for sampling, the mixer, the arranger, the clip matrix, all that stuff on here. This is like this. It's actually unbelievable. Like, if you consider what you have on other devices and the speed that they go at, and then you look at this and you consider that this is actually portable. Okay, this can be taken anywhere. It's got the speaker on it, which I'll get into later. Really, really, really big selling point, and one of the reasons that I thought this would be a good buy. And it's actually really good for space as well. Now, one MPC that's on my wish list is the MPC XL. I really, really want that because I really like physical buttons, and to have that connectivity with the device and have the tactile feeling. And it also does a lot for muscle memory. But now I can't actually afford it right now. And the other thing is the space. I really don't have the space to put an MPC XL anywhere. So this was perfect for when I decided to buy it, and I really wanted to get it because I knew that I could, find the space for this. So the speaker, I think that leads nicely into the speaker. The speaker is a really, really solid speaker for this type of product. The speaker is not going to be something that you can mix on and do like a professional mix on at all. I'm completely aware of that. I was aware of that before I bought this. But the speaker is great for just playing music. If you don't have headphones, or you don't feel like getting headphones, you don't feel like hooking it all up with the headphones and stuff, you can just switch on the speaker, and then you have that to be able to listen to your music and what you're making. So I really like the speaker. It actually knocks. It actually sounds good for what it is. Really, really nice speaker on this thing. It definitely does the job. So the touchscreen, I do like the touchscreen, and one of the things that stopped me from getting into the MPC world is because of the touchscreen. And I found that the touchscreen is not all that bad. In fact, it actually makes a lot of things faster, right? For example, when I'm doing a rough mix, before I export my stems, I like to do a rough mix and reset all the faders. Now, I tend to use the data wheel, data dial, whatever you call it, for most things that I can. But I find that with the data dial, to set the faders to 0, it actually takes longer compared to just swiping the fader all the way down. So it's really helpful in circumstances like that. I really like it for some things. Gets you around the interface, quicker. I appreciate that. I do prefer buttons, and I actually use the buttons, where I can on this device. But I can admit that there's some things that are actually quicker with a touchscreen. Like, I'm not some, full-on hardcore button addict that's strict about only using buttons. So I really like the touchscreen. It gives you all the information you need. Like the interface is really nice. I really like the interface on this. All the information is there. It's well thought out. It's actually easy to use once you know what you're doing. So one of the reasons I bought this, and there were so many reasons, as you can tell, is to be able to hook up a turntable with the phono inputs on the back and sample records straight into it. And I gotta say, I love that it has this feature because it means that I don't have to get a turntable mixer, a DJ mixer, and then hook up cables from the turntable into the mixer, and then from the mixer into the back of the unit. So that's a really, really nice addition that I really appreciate. The two audio inputs in the back sound amazing, and it's just so convenient. I use it to hook up my bass. Really, really dope. I really, really like this, and you can link them, the two combo inputs. So you get a lot of flexibility when it comes to that as well. So that's really dope. There's multiple outputs on here too, but I don't really use them that much. But I love that they're here if I need them. What else do I like about this device? The buttons. The buttons feel really, really good on this. When I tried this out at a MPC workshop at Crow's Nest or DJ, I found that I was really impressed by the buttons. The buttons felt really, really nice. They've got a bit of thickness to them, which I actually really appreciate. They don't feel cheap at all. They feel nice to press. It feels like a sturdy, professional device. Another thing that I really loved when I first got my hands on this device was the pads. The pads on this thing, I could talk for days about them. I absolutely love the pads. I love the green quadrants lights here. I think they're really cool. In terms of using these MPC E pads, I believe they're called, I never really got into like putting a sound on each quadrant. Like I never used that function. It's cool that it's there, but it's something that I don't really find myself using at all, or find the need to use at all. So, but the pads are really, really cool, very responsive. I did find I had some double tapping issues when I first got it. Mainly when I use my left hand to program sounds and finger drum and stuff. Not the biggest deal. Once again, like it doesn't affect my recordings at all, so I'm not, upset about it. I didn't want to take it back in. It's really fine. It was just the occasional time that I found that it would trigger the sound twice when I didn't intend it to, or sometimes it didn't trigger. But like I said, nothing that's deal breaking that made me want to return the unit or not use it. So love the pads. I love the step sequencer on this thing, and I noticed that coming from the Electron devices, they added the probability factor on here, the probability feature, which is really, really cool. I think that's really cool, and you can tell that Akai have really been looking into other companies and other products and trying to incorporate their own version into it. So that's really cool. But this step sequencer is so useful, so quick to be able to program sounds in. If I don't want to program sounds with my hands and use the record, play, start, like that's a really good feature, and one that I really appreciate, especially when it comes to making house music, which I do like to make. It's really great for just quickly programming in things. I'm a really big fan of it. This list is not finished, so I like these secondary features that are actually triggered by the step sequencer buttons. For example, you got like Q-Links, pad grid, you got row launch, clip launch on here. All these secondary features that allow you to access different things from the device, and quickly be able to navigate certain things or do certain things without having to menu dive and go back into other pages is really, really useful. I find I use it for the next sequence function a lot. The next sequence function is really cool to be able to preview my different sequences and sequence them, so to speak, and really, trigger them and link them all together and hear how the arrangement sounds. And that's the way I like to work. Just make a different sequence for each section of my song. For example, the intro, verse, chorus, hook, and then be able to play around with them and go to each one with the next sequence page. So really, really cool. I gotta say, I love the plugins on this device. There are so many go-to plugins that I use on this device with so many great sounds that are so usable, and I have released so much music with just the sounds on this thing. I can't talk more highly of Akai's sound design and how they make their plugins and stuff. And I know they have the collaboration with Air, but there's also great plugins like Mother Ducker and the Fly Tape 2 plugin that I like to use a lot. And outside of the sound and the way it can really, help your music, the aesthetics of these plugins are just so dope. Like, I love the Fly Tape 2 plugin. Such a good plugin for doing like retro effects and doing like tape stops and wobble effects and really cool stuff. So really love the plugins. I also really love the expansions that you can get for this device, and the expansions that come with this device. The expansions that come with this device are so good out of the box. I just can't say anything bad about them at all. They just sound so great, allow you to just quickly start something and not have to, get a bunch of sounds loaded up. I can easily just load a program into a track and then start working on stuff and start coming up with a beat and then flow from there. So that's really, really cool. Also on this device, I really, really like the sampling capabilities of it. If you've used one of these devices, one of these modern MPCs, you probably know the convenience of chopping up samples on these devices. Super, super quick. Not much waiting time, especially on this device because it's such a powerful device. And got a clear waveform. I love the Q links on this, which I'm going to get into soon, that allow you to be able to zoom in on the last page. And then the data dial to be able to just choose my start and end points. It has easily been the best sampling experience that I've ever had on any device or software. And I've used everything. Like, I've used Machine, I've used Serato Sample, I've used KO2, a lot of different devices for sampling. And it makes sense to me why the MPC is this go-to sampling workflow. There's just so much you can do. It just completely fits so well in my setup. I like to use this in conjunction with Ableton Live and use splice loops to be able to cut up and sample and then sequence into my project that I'm working on in standalone on this device. And I found that really helps on here, especially with warping and time stretching, which sound really good. Definitely usable. Not on the level of Ableton, but really usable, especially for a standalone device. Clip matrix on here is cool. When I first got it, I tried it out and tried to see how it would work and if I could incorporate it for arranging stuff. I found in the long run I didn't end up using it. I ended up using it a little bit more just for if I wanted multiple takes. Like, let's say I'm doing a bass part and I want to try different things. When I'm writing a bass part, it was perfect for that, to be able to just go through each clip and just create a new clip quickly, to try different things. And then once I'm done, I can play the different clips back with the rest of my track to see which take I like. Brilliant for that. But in terms of arranging, I didn't really connect with it all that much. I tend to prefer creating an individual sequence, like I said, for each part, and work that way and then link it all together with song mode. So I got to talk about how much I love the Q links. And one thing I've seen from a lot of people in reviews is that they're not a fan of the Q links. They don't like how it's like 4 Q links on the side and you have to browse through the pages. I don't understand it at all. I really don't understand that, why they're against that. I love these Q links. These Q links make working on this device so much more quicker and allow me to get muscle memory, especially with a touchscreen. I love how I can just there's all these preset different settings for the Q-Link. One of my favorite ones is to be able to use the first Q-Link on the first page to control the track volume if I'm in the main screen. So I can easily just control the main volume of the track. I can then change it to a different bunch of settings for the Q-Links to control each individual pad, which is really, really cool and smooth. Yeah, I love the plugin. I love the Q-Links on this device. They are so useful. Touch strip is really cool too. I use the touch strip for displaying my Q-Link data. So the last used Q-Link, it will show like the status of that Q-Link, which is actually really useful. It's really helpful for when I'm trying to adjust the level of each track. And I don't want to go into the screen that shows like where the fader is. Really useful also for zooming in. With the data dial, you can zoom in on certain things, but I found that it's a bit slower. And then if you use the touch strip, it is actually a lot faster and allows you to quickly zoom in or out on large samples. So really, really useful. This device is so well thought out. Aesthetically, it's so amazing too. I really like it. And I know people coming from the Live II thought that this was just too much buttons and it was overly cluttered and they didn't like it and they thought it was ugly. Once again, I don't understand that. I feel like this is a really, really cool looking device. I love the green lighted up pads and, you know, the red and white button text on the buttons and stuff. I really think it's dope. So now, who is this device for? I think this device is for people who want to use the MPC workflow or come from like older MPCs, didn't have the Live II, or any of the other previous like older MPCs, the older modern MPCs. Yeah, I think it's really good for those because it gives you a lot of power. Like I said, the plugins load so quickly on this device. There's so much you can do with it. It's almost like a DAW in a box, really, but it's not because it's still kind of limited. So if you're looking for that really strong level of control, I think it really gives you a lot, and it gives you a lot to offer. And especially if you like to use plugins, and if you like synths and getting into a lot of synth-based music. Really, really recommend this, as well as sampling stuff. It's really good for that. If you have like maybe like the first MPC Live or an MPC One and you're wanting to upgrade and you're finding that you want something a bit more powerful, a bit more faster, then yeah, definitely get this. And also if you want something a bit faster but you don't have the space for an XL like I do, and if you feel like a big flagship MPC is an overkill choice, then this would definitely be the way to go. You're not going to go wrong with portability. Speaker, like I said, is going to do the job for you. Touchscreen, all this stuff is great. So yeah, I definitely recommend this device. If you're thinking about the upgrade, I'd say definitely do it if you can afford it. But yeah, there's nothing more that I can really say on it. I feel like this is such a quality device. It doesn't get enough love, in my opinion. I only got into it after like probably 4 months after it came out. And I know there was strong hype around it when it first came out. But I feel like all that hype has really died down, and I get it. That's how it works. And MPC Sample, you know, has come out, and that's a great device in its own right. But this is really, I don't think people understand how amazing this device is. Like if we look at, you know, samplers and music making technology from 6, 7, 8 years ago, this is like something from the deep future. Like this is absolutely crazy. The fact that you can do all these things you can do in a DAW on something like this is absolutely incredible to me. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. I intend to do more videos like this where I talk about these products and these MPCs, these samplers that I've used and have a lot of experience with. I'm looking to do the KO2 next, most possibly, because I have one in the back here, if you can see it. But yeah, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like this content. And yeah, if you have one of these or one of the other MPCs, let me know what you think. Do you love your MPC Live? Do you still use it? You know, what's your experience like with it? I really want to know, because I really, this is like one of my favorite purchases I've ever made, and I know that's pretty dramatic, but it's honestly the truth. I've had a ball making music on this thing. But yeah, thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.